My name is Whitney Clark. I live here in District 5, right up the street. I am running for city council because it is obvious that corporate greed and private investment are trying to drive us out of our own city. That's obvious. There's no question. We've been overtaxed. We've been overassessed on our taxes, $600 million. In this city, you can lose your home if you don't pay your water bill. Our schools are some of the worst, and our taxes are some of the highest. And so it seems as though everyday Detroiters are fed up. I'm actually running for city council to ensure that my children here, my wife and I, have a place here in the city. I know that we can bring people together with common sense solutions. And quite frankly, we have the most to lose. I was sharing this with him earlier. We are right in the middle of a very challenging time, the time where we have our baby boomers getting ready to retire. Influx of seniors are getting ready to matriculate out of the working class. And then we also have the school system that I referenced. We have our children that are coming up. And if we don't take this opportunity to ensure that our children are bright, brilliant, ready to work out of high school, we may lose our place in this city. And so that is why I'm stepping up. Just a little bit about myself. As I said before, I met my wife here in 2014, 15 it was, I believe, 14, excuse me.
Get it right.
I know, right? I gotta get a little more polished on that part. No, well, I met her while we were out in Knoxville, Tennessee, and so we were both child advocates. I worked for the Children's Defense Fund from 2009 to 2015, and so early childhood education is a passion of mine. So much so that my wife and I founded the Heart Next Door Early Enrichment Center in 2019, and so that technically makes us business owners as well. So I know what it's like to get a business open and jump through regulatory hoops, and I also know what it's like to get a business to profitability, right? Those are two different things. Getting a business open and making it profitable are two different things, and so those are just a little bit of the experiences that I'm going to bring. I also had the honor of working for the federal government back in 2010 for the Census Bureau, and so that is some experience that I'll draw back on. Why? Because I know that the 2030 census is coming up, and if we can win the census, then we can qualify for more, government resources and things of that nature. If we show that our population is increasing. I want to just talk very quickly about the issues that I have come across while I've been out in the community, shaking hands, kissing babies. One of the most obvious things, even before I decided to run for city council, is that we have to protect our seniors. My father was born in 1942. My mother was born in 1953. So if you do any quick math, I was raised by old people. And I am particularly sensitive to the challenges that elderly people face at the end of their life, because both of my parents faced challenges at the end of their life. And so protecting our seniors and ensuring that those people whose shoulders we stand upon today, we have to ensure that they can age with dignity. And even though I'm a younger man, I think that is something that is a personal passion of mine, again, because of the parents that I was raised by. Now, there is some overlap with the gentleman that spoke before me, but I take a different approach at our schools because I have children. And I mean that with respect, but we've got to do something because the schools that we have are not working. We've got to do something, and I propose a plan that maybe I'll talk a little bit more about. But I do believe that we have to bring trades back into our schools in a standardized way, because if you're in city council, you know that these are the same contracts that are leaving our city. And so we've got to, people are saying we can't fill them because there aren't enough educated people. So then my question to you is, who are we educating? And so that is why I believe that we have to bring these trades back. We have to create a structural relationship with our school board to insist, one, that they get out of debt. I don't know if you've been paying close attention to that. I've studied that very closely. And you know that their debt is what? Our debt. And so the notion or the idea that these two things are not mutually exclusive it's false, because it shows up on our millages, right? Okay, so we've got to figure this out. I propose that we freeze the DDA until our school system is paid out. That's something that we can do immediate. That's a how-to. That's a specific thing that we can do until our school system is paid out. And that will what? Reduce our taxes, because we know the taxes are too high. And so these are the ways that we're going to be connecting the dots. And I'm more excited about the how-to than the idea itself, because the how-to really explains and shows that we've taken the time to not only understand what the issues are, but how to solve the problem. I also believe that we have to fix our tax justice issue. And the gentleman referenced the MOU from the Detroit Land Bank. It's time. It's time for the land bank for us to just give them a nice warm hug and just drive them to the north of Woodward until Ferndale. It's time for us to just go ahead and give them their parting ways, because we aren't the same city we were a decade ago. Come on, let's be honest. We aren't the same city. We don't have the same challenges. We don't have the same burdens. And so for these people to try to act as though we need them here, I don't believe that's accurate. And so I believe, they are up for an MOU, and Councilmember Pro Tate has been respectfully, I know he's held in high regards here in the community, but I believe on this particular issue, he's been dragging his feet. And I've been sitting in these sessions, and he pretends as though he doesn't want to have the conversation. Well, the conversation is long overdue. It's time for the Detroit Land Bank to leave here. Now, we have a couple of specific challenges, or should I say, opportunities that are taking place in District 5, and I believe that those are opportunities for us to do one of the greatest things that we have to do, and that is solve the housing crisis. Now, you may or may not have heard about this 375 project. They are moving the highway out there downtown, and they're going to try to do this reconnection project. And in that project, they are offering to give us alternative living arrangements. So what that verbiage allows us to do is see if we can find investors to build starter homes, because we don't need any more affordable housing. We've had enough of renting for the rest of our life, and we know that when you rent, you lose your rights. People care about the places where they own their homes, and so that's what we need. We need specific asks. We need people that are going to invest in starter homes, and we can do this and allow business to spur and have growth if we deregulate. And so, what just a couple of the things that I'm opening up to questions now, but a couple of things that I mentioned: improving our schools by trade and helping them, creating a pathway where they can be debt-free more quickly. I've also mentioned protecting our seniors through ordinances and through partnerships with religious organizations such as churches. I work at my church. I found that you have a lot of retired professionals, you have a lot of volunteers, and you have 1,000 churches. We ought to connect the dots and ensure that our seniors have services. Our seniors are connected where they're giving out food throughout the week. Our seniors are connected with those programs, and they know about when there's going to be shoveling. We've got to connect the dots, and so those are the organizations that are going to be working along with. Now, I just want to say this very quickly because this gentleman mentioned, how do you get information out? And that's a question that just makes a young man happy, because we've got technology, people, and we aren't using it to our advantage. I mean, we can literally stream this right now. And so that when the people can see this later on, they can refer back to it. And so as a city council person, I'm going to be available. I'm going to be here and there at the same time. But more importantly, what I want to do is I want to specifically give our young content creators, if you have an updated iPhone, I'll give you the opportunity to stream all of our government meetings. We're creating jobs for young people. As long as you've got a working iPhone, we've got the technology where you can stream this and put it right up on YouTube live. We can give them opportunities, and we can simultaneously create more transparency, because that's what people are talking about. They feel like their government doesn't listen to them, it doesn't respond to them, and they feel like all of the biggest decisions are made behind closed doors. But we've got a solution for that. Last but not least, and then I said I'll open up to questions. We've got the brightest future that we could possibly have, because our state constitution reopens next year. And so we have an opportunity, if we're organized, if we are focused on building on common ground, we have an opportunity to restructure our tax code so we can have cashless dispensaries. We can restructure our tax code so that it works for the people of Detroit. And so again, my name is Whitney Clark. There's more information about me at WhitneyClark4Detroit.com. That's Whitney Clark, ClarkeFOR Detroit. WhitneyClark4Detroit.com. And I'll open it up for any questions. Yes, sir.
Mr. Clark, how do you feel about the citizen district councils being reinstated?
I believe it should be reinstated, but as the gentleman mentioned before, you know, I know there's power in words. We can call it what we want to call it, but I think it is important that we increase the volume of the constituent. That's really at the heart of the matter. Do we feel like people are listening? And again, I work in church, and so that's kind of one of my go-to things. We have to have these forums in a consistent way. But it really boils back down to how people are voting, really. How people are voting. You know, I'm a new name, I'm a new face, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. But we've been playing name politics. And so as we get these questions, we're open to them, but we just want to make sure that we're going to be voting in a different direction, because we can make this happen. We can be transparent, we can be responsive, and we can make sure that the citizens, their voices are heard. So to answer your question, yes, sir.
And you have a citizen district council in your area that you're running for?
Yes.
Okay, do you guys Zoom your meetings, or how do you live stream your meetings, you know, with your,
So City Council President Ms. Sheffield, she's pretty good with streaming all of her meetings. All of the public meetings that she has, she does a pretty good job of being available and visible in our district. I can't criticize her in that regard. Now, maybe we can argue about, you know, some of the resolve that happens in the meetings.
Right.
But I can say personally myself that I am on calls with her several times throughout the week. And so that isn't a specific concern of mine, but I do know that we can go further, and that's what I'm pledging to do. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How do you feel about we have a large unemployment of the youth here in Detroit. Any ideas to build that still with the kids going to school?
Yeah.
And I'll let you know, one.
Please.
On the books right now,
Mhm.
it's gonna happen this year, and that's with the DNI.
Yeah.
But, yeah, still my question, you know, have any idea, you know, to help the young adults and the students?
Yeah, as we mentioned, trades and these plans that I'm looking at, we've got some challenges with people that exist right here, and I think we've got to do our best to address those things. And as I mentioned before, we can give children opportunities. Now I know those opportunities may be limited, but as I mentioned, with giving people the opportunity to stream, we believe as young people that content is king, right? And so if a person has an iPhone in their hand, and if they have the right apps on their phone, they can do whatever they want to. So it's a matter of connecting the dots, showing people that you can actually make a living wage by telling stories. We need more independent media. And so my position is that we give those people the platform that we're on to spread what they're doing. But more specifically to your question, I believe that trades will address that here in the interim, because we want our children to be ready to work out of high school. Because I am watching a lot of these contracts leave our city. And so the answer is simple, right? Let's train our children for the contracts that are leaving the city. And so that's one of the solutions that I have, trades and schools. Yes, sir.
I have a question. Who's funding your campaign?
So as of right now, I'm funding my campaign, and you all are funding my campaign, because you're gonna go to WhitneyClark for Detroit.com. You're gonna